All right, buckle up everyone, because today we're diving deep into a technique that can seriously level up your brain power.
Oh, this is going to be good.
We're talking about mind mapping, and get this, it's not some newfangled brain hack.
Yep.
It's been around for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Buzan, the guy who really popularized it, was talking about this stuff back in the 70s.
Wow, that's going back a bit.
But here's the thing, it's not just some retro fad. There's real science behind why it works.
Right, and it's backed up by research, too.
Like that study in the Journal of Cognitive Psychology, I think it was, where students using mind maps actually remembered, get this, 15% more information.
15%.
Yeah, that's a pretty significant boost, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, who wouldn't want a memory upgrade like that?
Exactly. So, to help us break down the science behind why this works, we've got our expert here.
Well, you know what's so fascinating about mind mapping is that it's not just like a neat trick or anything.
It's not
No, it actually taps into both sides of your brain.
both sides.
Uh-huh. The logical and the creative.
Okay, hold on. Are you saying there's like a Mr. Spock and a free-spirited artist living in my head?
Kind of. Think of it this way. Your left hemisphere, that's your Mr. Spock. It loves logic, language, all those neat, orderly things.
Right, right.
Then you've got your right hemisphere, the artist. That's where your creativity, your visuals, all that good stuff hangs out.
So mind mapping kind of brings them together.
Exactly. It's like a brain party. You've got words for the left brain, images and colors for the right brain.
So they both get to play.
They do. And that's the secret sauce. It's called dual encoding. When you engage both sides of your brain like that, you create stronger memories.
So instead of just like dry facts on a page,
Yeah,
it's more like creating a mental movie with a soundtrack and everything.
you got it. And we all know how much easier it is to remember a movie than a boring lecture, right?
Oh, for sure. A picture's worth 1,000 words or something like that.
Exactly. But okay, let's get practical. How do we actually make one of these mind maps?
Right. Where do we even begin?
Well, it all starts with a big idea. Literally. You take that central concept, whatever it is, and you put it right smack in the middle of your page.
Okay, front and center. Got it.
And don't be afraid to go big. Bold font, bright colors. You can even use a picture if it captures the essence of your idea.
Okay, I'm liking this already.
It's all about making that central idea pop.
Pop. Got it. So then what? Do I just start scribbling down everything I know about that topic? Because, my brain can be kind of a jumbled mess sometimes.
Well, structure is key here. Think of your central idea as the trunk of a tree, right?
Okay, like a tree trunk.
Now you're going to branch out with the main subtopics, using just a few keywords to label each branch.
Main branches for the big ideas. Got it. Then what? Tiny branches for every little detail.
Not quite. Those sub-branches, those are for breaking down your main topics just enough.
Just enough, okay.
Think of it like chapter headings leading to key paragraphs. You don't need to write a whole novel on each branch.
Okay, keep it concise. But here's where I think I could really shine. Visuals.
Oh, you and me both. This is where it gets fun.
So we're talking images, symbols, colors. Let's go.
Bring on the visuals. Think about it. Which is easier to remember, a bullet point list about deforestation or a striking image of a tree with its roots chopped off.
Oh, definitely the image.
Yeah.
It's like, boom, instant impact.
Right. Our brains are wired for visuals. It's why infographics are so popular. They make complex information instantly understandable.
So any tips for using visuals effectively in a mind map?
Yeah, specificity is key. Let's say you're mapping out ideas for an eco-friendly business.
Okay, eco-friendly business.
Use green for the environmentally friendly ideas, or maybe a light bulb symbol to represent innovative solutions.
Ah, I see. So the visuals should really reinforce the meaning.
Exactly. It's all about making those connections in your brain. The more connections you make, the stronger the memory.
And the more fun the whole process is. Okay, this is making so much sense. So since we're all about getting the most out of information here, I'm guessing there are tons of ways to actually use mind maps. I mean, besides just doodling for fun, although that does sound kind of relaxing.
Oh, it definitely can be. But you're right, the applications are vast. Students can use them for note-taking, studying for exams.
Imagine turning history notes into a giant visual timeline.
Exactly. Talk about making learning more engaged.
Okay, I'm seeing how that would be way more fun than just staring at pages of text, especially for visual learners like me.
For sure. But it's not just for students. It's a great tool for professionals, too.
Oh, yeah. Even in the working world, with all those spreadsheets and presentations.
Absolutely. Think brainstorming sessions, project planning, even decision-making.
I can see how that would be helpful.
A mind map can get everyone on the same page, visually, literally. It's like a shared roadmap for ideas.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. I'm all for trying new things, but I have to admit, starting anything new can be a little daunting. What if I get started and suddenly feel lost in a sea of branches and colors?
Well, that's a common concern. But remember, mind mapping is a journey, not a destination. Don't get hung up on creating like a perfect museum-worthy mind map right away.
So it's okay to start small and messy.
Absolutely. Start simple, focus on those key ideas first. You can always add more detail later as you go.
That takes the pressure off. But what about those of us who just stare at a blank page and have no clue where to begin? Any tips for jump-starting the process?
Embrace imperfection. It's your mind map, so make it work for you. Experiment with different layouts, try quirky symbols, see what clicks.
So just play around with it.
Exactly. And there are tons of resources out there if you need a little inspiration. You can find templates, complete examples of mind maps for different topics. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Okay, I'm feeling more confident already. So it's basically like having a toolbox full of different options, and you can choose the ones that feel right for you. But what about tech tools? Some people love using digital tools for these kinds of things.
Oh, for sure. Pen and paper are classics for a reason. But if you prefer going digital, there are some awesome tools out there. Xmind, MindMeister, Canva, those are great ones.
I've heard of those.
They have templates, customization options. You can even collaborate with others on a shared mind map. Pretty cool, right?
Collaboration sounds great.
Yeah.
And speaking of collaboration, sometimes I feel like my brain needs its own team of organizers to handle really complex topics.
Yeah.
Any advice for those times when a single mind map might not be enough?
Oh, totally. You can actually create a mind map family.
A mind map family.
Yeah. Start with a central map for the big picture, then create separate mind maps for more detailed subtopics. It's like zooming in and out. You get the overview and the specifics all in one system.
I love that. It's like having an interconnected library of knowledge, all visually organized. Now, before we move on, are there any other common roadblocks people might face when starting out with mind mapping? We want to make sure everyone feels equipped to give it a try.
Well, sometimes people worry about getting bogged down in details. Remember, the main map should focus on those key ideas. You can always create separate mind maps for more complex subtopics.
Right, so don't try to cram everything onto one map.
Exactly. And if you find yourself getting stuck, try breaking down the information into smaller chunks. Ask yourself questions like, what are the main categories? What are the key relationships between these ideas?
That's a great tip.
This can help you create a more structured and effective mind map.
Awesome. So we've covered the basics of what mind mapping is, how to create one, and even address some potential challenges. I'm ready to delve into how this technique can truly level up our learning, memory, and even creativity. What say we dive deeper into those benefits in the next part of our deep dive?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we've built our mind maps. But now, let's see how they can help us unlock some serious brain power.
Yeah, let's get into it.
I'm especially intrigued by how mind mapping can supercharge our memory. I mean, we touched on that study where students using mind maps retain 15% more information. 15%. But what's the real magic happening there?
Well, it all comes down to tapping into the visual superpowers of your brain. Think about it.
Okay.
You can probably still picture your childhood home pretty vividly, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
But remembering a shopping list from last week.
Ooh, that's a different story.
Exactly. Our brains are just wired to remember images better than plain text.
It's so true. I can remember the layout of my childhood home perfectly. But ask me what I had for breakfast yesterday and I'm drawing a blank.
It happens to the best of us. But so how do mind maps leverage that visual strength? Well, they turn information into a vibrant mental landscape. So instead of just words on a page, you've got colors, images, spatial relationships. It's like creating a mental movie that your brain can easily replay.
Wow, a mental movie. I like that.
And then on top of that, the very act of making those connections as you build the mind map, it strengthens the memories even further.
So it's not just about the finished product.
No.
It's about the process of creating it.
Exactly. Think of it like this. When you simply read text, you're using one part of your brain.
Okay.
But when you create a mind map, you're drawing, you're choosing colors, you're making connections.
Engaging different parts of the brain.
It's like a full brain workout.
Yeah.
And this process is called elaborative rehearsal.
Elaborative rehearsal. Got it.
And it helps embed those memories deeper.
Okay, so we're not just, like, memorizing facts.
Yeah.
We're actually understanding them better because we're making those connections ourselves. So it's deeper learning. But can mind maps help us go beyond just remembering facts? Can they help us make sense of complex topics?
Oh, absolutely.
Like see the bigger picture?
Yeah, one of the most powerful aspects of mind mapping is its ability to reveal relationships between ideas. When you lay out your thoughts visually, you start to see how different pieces of information connect and influence each other. It's like those connect the dots puzzles. Suddenly, a clear picture emerges.
That's fascinating. Like when you're working on a puzzle and suddenly you realize how all the pieces fit together. It's like, uh-huh. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about creativity.
Okay.
I've always been curious about how mind mapping can spark creativity. Is there any science behind that?
Well, think of your creativity as a playful, curious child.
Okay, I can do that.
Mind mapping sets that child free.
It does.
It encourages you to think outside the box, break free from linear thinking, and make unexpected connections.
Because it's less about following rules
Yeah,
and more about exploring ideas visually.
precisely. When you're brainstorming on a mind map, there's no pressure to write a perfect sentence or follow a rigid structure. You can jump between ideas, doodle, add images. It's all about letting your thoughts flow freely. That's where the magic happens.
It's like giving your brain permission to play. So if I'm feeling stuck on a project or need a creative boost, I should just grab a blank sheet of paper and start mind mapping.
Exactly. Don't overthink it, just start exploring.
Okay.
You might be surprised by what you discover and the connections you make.
All right, I'm sold. We've talked about memory and creativity, but how about learning new things? I mean, we've all had those moments where we're trying to absorb information, and it just feels like it's going in one ear and out the other. Can mind mapping help us learn more effectively?
Oh, it absolutely can. Mind mapping transforms learning from a passive activity into an active adventure. Instead of just reading or listening, you're creating, organizing, and making connections.
Sounds a lot more fun.
And this active engagement makes the learning process more fun, and that makes all the difference.
So it's like we're not just students. We're explorers charting new territory. But I'm curious, is mind mapping only helpful for visual learners? Or can anyone benefit from it?
Well, while visual learners might feel right at home with mind maps, anyone can benefit from this technique. It's about turning information into something you can interact with, something that makes sense on a visual level. And that can be a game changer for anyone trying to learn something new.
I can see how that would make complex topics more approachable. It's like breaking down a giant wall of text into bite-sized visual chunks. Okay, but can mind mapping go beyond the classroom or the office? Can it help us tackle everyday challenges,
Oh, absolutely.
make better decisions?
Mind mapping isn't just a learning tool, it's a problem-solving powerhouse. Think of it as a way to declutter your thoughts and approach challenges with a fresh perspective.
Okay, I'm all about decluttering, both mentally and physically. So how does mind mapping help us solve those tricky problems that life throws our way?
Well, imagine you're facing a problem with what feels like a million different factors.
Oh, been there.
Instead of feeling overwhelmed, start by putting that problem at the center of your mind map.
At the center, okay.
Then branch out. Explore potential causes, brainstorm solutions, and consider different perspectives. It's like having a visual compass to guide you through the chaos.
So it's not about finding the right answer immediately.
Right.
It's about exploring different possibilities,
Yeah,
seeing the problem from all angles.
exactly. And as you build out your mind map, you might find that hidden patterns emerge, or that seemingly unrelated ideas spark new and innovative solutions. It's a much more creative and engaging way to approach problem solving than just staring at a blank page and feeling stuck.
That's such a powerful way to look at it.
Hmm.
But what about those big life decisions, the
Yeah.
ones where you're weighing pros and cons and feeling like you're stuck in a loop of overthinking?
Mind mapping can help you untangle those decision-making knots too. Instead of letting your thoughts swirl around in your head, put that decision front and center on your mind map. Then branch out, explore different options, list pros and cons, and visualize potential outcomes.
So it's like having a visual pros and cons list, but like way more engaging.
Exactly. And as you add more branches and connections, you might find that your priorities become clearer or that certain options naturally rise to the top. It's a much more intuitive and visual way to make those tough choices.
I love that. And speaking of organization, I think we could all use a little help in that department. I mean, who hasn't felt overwhelmed by to-do lists and deadlines? Can mind mapping help us conquer the chaos of everyday life?
Oh, absolutely. Think of mind mapping as your ultimate organization sidekick. It can help you declutter your mind, prioritize tasks, and even plan out your entire year in a way that feels less like a chore and more like a creative brainstorming session.
So instead of that never-ending, anxiety-inducing to-do list, we can create a visually engaging roadmap for our day, or week,
Uh-huh.
or even year.
You got it. Start with a central theme, like today's tasks
Okay.
or my 2024 goals,
Yeah.
and then branch out with different categories. You can add deadlines, color code by priority, even doodle little icons to make it more fun.
It's like giving those boring to-do lists a serious makeover. But I'm curious, how does mind mapping actually help us stay on track and avoid getting sidetracked by distractions?
Well, one of the biggest benefits of mind mapping is that it helps you visualize the big picture while still allowing you to break down tasks into smaller, more manageable steps.
So you see both the forest and the trees.
Exactly. This keeps you focused on the overall goal while also providing a sense of accomplishment as you check off those smaller milestones.
It's like having a visual reminder of both the destination and the journey. Okay, I'm convinced. Mind mapping is clearly more than just a neat trick. It's a powerful tool for learning, problem solving, and even just navigating the chaos of everyday life. But I'm curious, can it also help us boost our overall brain power? Like, can it actually make us smarter? Let's explore that in the final part of our deep dive.
All right, welcome back to the final part of our mind mapping deep dive.
Okay, let's wrap this up. We've seen how it can boost our memory, our creativity, and even help us tackle those everyday challenges. But can it actually make us, well, smarter? Can mind mapping really level up our brain power?
You know, what's exciting is that mind mapping doesn't just help you with like specific tasks, it actually strengthens your brain's overall processing power. Think of your brain as like a massive network of interconnected pathways. Every time you learn something new, you're essentially forging a new path.
Okay, forging a new path, yeah.
So mind mapping, with its blend of words and images and colors, it's like paving those paths with like super strong high-speed connections.
So instead of those little winding dirt roads, we're building mental superhighways. I love that visual.
Right, and those reinforced connections mean your brain can process information more efficiently, which can lead to improvements in things like memory recall, focus, even problem
So
solving.
like a brain power boost.
Yeah, exactly. There's even research that suggests that regularly using mind maps can actually boost your IQ scores.
Wow, okay, that's impressive. So it's not just about organizing information, it's about actually training your brain to think better. Now, earlier we talked about using mind maps for goal setting. Can they actually help us achieve those goals?
Well, there's a powerful link between visualization and achieving your goals. When you create a visual representation of what you want to achieve, it's like planting a seed in your mind. And that mind map becomes the fertilizer, helping that seed grow.
I love that analogy. So
Right.
it's not just about writing down goals in a notebook. It's about making them come alive visually.
Exactly. And when you regularly look at your mind map and visualize yourself achieving those goals, you're essentially strengthening those neural pathways,
Yeah.
and reminding your brain what it's working towards.
It's like that extra push, that visual reminder of what you're aiming for.
Right. And this can really help you stay motivated, especially when things get tough.
But can mind mapping go beyond just helping us achieve those like external goals?
Yeah.
Can it impact our inner world,
Mhm.
our sense of well-being?
This is where the connection between mind mapping and mindfulness gets really interesting. Mind mapping, with its focus on the present moment and that free flow of ideas, it actually shares a lot in common with mindfulness practices.
Wait, so creating a mind map can actually be a mindful experience.
Absolutely. Think about it. You're focused on the task at hand, allowing your thoughts to flow without judgment, connecting ideas in a visual way. It's about being present in the moment and engaging with your thoughts in a non-critical way, very similar to meditation.
I never thought of it that way. But it makes total sense. So it's like getting a double dose of brain benefits,
Hmm.
the cognitive boost from mind mapping, and the calming, centering effects of mindfulness.
Exactly. It's a powerful combination that can have a profound impact on your thinking, your creativity, and your overall sense of well-being.
So it sounds like we've reached the end of our mind mapping adventure.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot.
But the real journey, it starts now, right? It's about taking what we've learned and putting it into practice.
Absolutely. I encourage you to explore the world of mind mapping for yourself. Don't be afraid to experiment. Find what works best for you.
So grab a pen and paper or open up a digital mind mapping tool and start exploring the incredible potential of your own mind.
Remember, mind mapping isn't just about organizing information. It's about expanding your thinking, unlocking your creativity, and ultimately living a more fulfilling life.
Well said. Until next time, keep those minds mapping and keep diving deep.